All right, this example says the distance between Dallas and Atlanta on a map is 11.75 inches. The distance from Atlanta to Chicago is 9.5 inches, and the distance from Chicago to Dallas is 13.25 inches. And we can see all of that mapped out. Here's the distance between Dallas and Atlanta at 11.75 inches. Here's the distance between Atlanta and Chicago at 9.5. And here's the distance between Dallas and Chicago at 13.25. We also know that the bearing from Dallas to Atlanta is north 85 degrees east. So that tells us that if I were to draw a north-south line here, the fact that Atlanta is north 85 degrees east from Dallas tells me that this angle is an 85-degree angle. Well, if that angle is an 85-degree angle, then this angle must be 5 degrees because the two measurements have to add up to 90 degrees when we're working with a north-south line and an east-west line. So we know that the measure of this angle is 5 degrees. And we're told that we need to find the bearing from Chicago to Dallas. And if we need to find the bearing from Chicago to Dallas, then we need to find the measure of this angle here. And this angle is an angle formed by the direction of travel from Chicago to Dallas to a north-south line that I've drawn here. And what I notice is that by drawing an east-west line here and intersecting that with a north-south line here, I've now formed another triangle. And that triangle contains the angle that I'm trying to find the measurement for. So if I can somehow find the measurement of this angle in that triangle, then I could use that to help me find the measurement of the angle that I'm looking for. Well, this angle in the triangle is the measure of this smaller angle here plus the 5 degrees there. So I'm going to start by trying to find the measure of this angle and use that to help me, or then I'll take and add 5 degrees to that to find the measure of the entire angle of my new triangle. So let's start by finding the measure of this angle. Now keep in mind, this angle is part of the original triangle that we drew. And in the original triangle that we drew, we have the lengths of the 3 sides. And I know that I can find the measure of the angles in that triangle by using the law of cosines. And what we'll do here to help us is we'll name this angle D for Dallas. We'll name this angle A for Atlanta, and we'll name this angle C for Chicago. Well, that means that the side opposite angle Chicago will be side C, so C will be 11.75. And we know that the side opposite angle Atlanta would be side A, that'll be 13.25, and then the side opposite angle Dallas will be side D, and that will be 9.5. And to find the measure of angle D, or angle Dallas, using the law of cosines, that would give us a squared plus c squared minus d squared over 2ac is equal to the cosine of d, which gives us 13.25 squared plus 11.75 squared minus 9.5 squared in the numerator. And all of that is over 2 times 13.25 times 11.75. And of course, all of that is equal to the cosine of d, which gives us 223.375 over 311.375. And again, that's still cosine of d. So now using the inverse cosine function on our calculator, we'll find the measure of angle D. So we find the measure of angle Dallas, or angle D, to be 44.16119816. Now keep in mind that's the measure of angle D, this angle. But ultimately we want the measure of this entire angle. So the measure of this entire angle would be the measure of angle D, which is about 44.16 degrees, plus the 5 degrees. So the total measure of the angle that we're looking for would be the 44 plus 5, which would be 49.16 degrees. So there we have the total measure of that angle in our right triangle. And again, that was just the 44.16, which was the measure of angle D, plus the 5 degrees. And that's where we got the 49.16 degrees. Well, if this is a right angle, and angle Dallas plus the 5 degrees is 49.16 degrees, then that means that this angle, which is the angle we're looking for to get our bearing, has to be 180 degrees minus the 90 degree angle minus the 49.16 degree angle, which means the measure of the angle that we're looking for must be about 40.84 degrees. Well, now all we need to do is use that measurement to find our bearing. If we're going from Chicago to Dallas, we're traveling in a southerly direction towards the west. So we know our direction is going to be southwest. And then our bearing is just the measurement of this angle, which would be, rounded to 1 decimal place, 40.8 degrees. So our bearing from Chicago to Dallas would be south 40.8 degrees west.